Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm waiting for
Morning.
you to tell me we're going. I'm sure we're live, right?
Yes, you're live. You can go.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning I'm in Minnesota. We have women all over the place. We have Isaiah in the background, of course, working her tech goddess magic from the south of France this morning. So, hi, I'm Chris. I have not been around much this year, and I'm so thankful for Isaiah for continuing this summit. This is our third year. We are here with our first group of speakers this morning for our live panel discussion. And I guarantee, this is the kind of conversation that we all wish we could have at every happy hour. Like, this is going to be the kind of talk that we wish we could have almost every day, although maybe it would be a little much. But I was trying to say earlier before we came on, I was trying to tell Isaiah that, she has done this each year for the last 3 years. She tries to convey to the speakers, to everyone involved or in the summit, you need to watch these talks. Someone can tell you about someone else's story. You can read another woman's story and you can hear how powerful they are. But it's when you watch it yourself and you hear the words straight from another woman about her experience, her challenges, the bumps that she has hit. And everybody has a universal message here. Everybody, no matter, the details may all be different. Everyone looks different. The stories on their surface look different. But there's a bottom line here. And each woman talks about this bottom line. When you hit those bumps, when you hit those challenges in life, you let go, you trust, and you allow. And I think every woman here this morning has that same bottom line. And so, but of course, we're going to get into this. We're going to talk about everyone's experience, everyone's story. So the speakers that we have this morning are, and I try to point in the right direction, Alyssa and Tammy and Jessica and Callie and Sherry L. Thank you so much for participating, for being the brave women that you are, to share your story, to get in front of a camera. First of all, to get in front of a camera, okay? That in itself takes some trust. and sharing the details of your personal journeys. And I thank you on behalf of the one woman who is going to listen to you and take something and use it for herself. And that's what it comes down to, is you're going to have, one woman who is going to listen to your words and your story, and they are going to use it, and they're going to find it within themselves, that strength and that allowing to take that first step. So thank you. And I hope, what comes around goes around. I hope that you are paid back in ways that, Isaiah and I may not see, but I'm just so very grateful for you for stepping up and taking this journey with us. So I'm going to start asking questions. And, jump in, or, I don't know, it's very informal. I can call on people, or I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Okay. So I want to know, have you been looking for an opportunity? Have you been waiting for the chance to share these parts of your lives with other women? Jessica, do you want to start off?
Okay.
No?
Actually, no. I was gonna. I figure I'm a storyteller, so I can tell a story about almost everything, but some of the things that I mentioned, I was like, nope, not going to do it. Nope, I'm resisting. And then, then I had a conversation with Joan, then I had a conversation with Isaiah, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do it. And that's how that happened. But no intentions, no desire to do it. But I'm glad I did.
Callie, you said you hadn't been waiting. No,
absolutely not. Anything to do with cameras, being out in public. But I've been working with a psychotherapist this year. I've had major surgery earlier on this year. And as part of that process, she very kindly threw out the option of maybe saying yes to everything that came my way, even if it really scared me. Oh. And so my dear friend Joan, who's also shared her story this year with us, she says, go on, girl. This is the time. So yeah, it was scary. And particularly doing video. I don't mind, doing audios. I don't mind writing per se, but video, that was tough. That was really tough.
And how do you feel about it now?
Relieved. Relieved that it's done. I think I've shared my story, parts of it, in many different ways over the last few years. So that bit wasn't scary. It was more the physicality of videoing and warts and all, really. Yeah, being seen. Yeah, big thing.
Okay. How about you, Alyssa? Have you been waiting for the opportunity?
No, not necessarily. Although I've been trying to share on my Facebook group, just my business group, just to try to be vulnerable and share more. And then last summer, Isaiah had invited me to last year's, but the timing wasn't right. And then this year it made sense. But I can't believe how wonderful you made the process. It was really, it was scary, but the way you broke it down, it was just really nice. And I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad you shared your story, and we can get into that a little in a bit. But like everybody, right? You guys have specific women who you're speaking to, and if you haven't signed up for just one, if you haven't been drawn to one specific talk, I think everyone's going to find the message they're intended to find. But so thank you again. Tammy, have you been waiting for this opportunity to share?
This particular one I didn't know about until I was invited, but I am on different summits and talks, and okay. I don't look for them. I let them come to me, and when I'm invited, if it resonates, then I participate. Years ago I was afraid to be on camera, but now I view it as like just talking to a friend. So I get very relaxed and just talk as if I was sitting with somebody and having a conversation and enjoying what I get to talk about and share.
Perfect. So maybe you didn't need some of the, because we do these little, like they said, we break it down along the way, helping everyone get comfortable with the technology and how to share the story and, where to find the details.
I think one of my favorite ways, though, is more conversational back and forth than just sitting and talking. I like the interaction that goes along with, even if it's on like a Facebook Live and people are communicating and I'm talking with them, even though they're not like verbally talking, but it feels different than to just sit and talk. So that's a little bit of a different experience to sit and just talk. It's like,
Sherry, have you been waiting for the opportunity to share your story?
I think being the duality Gemini that I am through and through, I believe that I've woven parts of my story in my life wherever, if the venue seemed appropriate or if the audience seemed appropriate. But, dovetailing on what Tammy was saying, being in front of a camera and not being conversational, I definitely took my level of vulnerability to a new level. And I mean, I just kind of put it all out there. So that was definitely a unique thing for me, for sure. So.
And how does it feel now? How do you feel about it now that
Well,
you're on the other
I
side?
recorded the video and then I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, I can't put that out into the world. I said everything. What was I thinking? So I had like that moment in the middle of the night, and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to let it ride and I'm just going to go with it, because I got feedback about the video, and if it helps one woman in the world elevate or shift or up level or heal or feel resilience, then it's completely worth it.
Right. Yes, I think that was the goal, I think, when we started this, is just how powerful. I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy for us to say, oh, my story doesn't matter. I don't matter. The whole not enough thing. Does this whole summit help you with your enoughness? Do you think? Have you all felt that? Does anyone want to talk about that?
I've had more positive response than I thought I would, so that was really neat. The thing that surprised me the most is because I really didn't think I could fill barely 30 minutes, and when I did my first run through, it was like an hour and 15. And then I edited it down, and then it was still like 59 minutes. So I had to do more editing. So it was really, really an eye opener for me. But that was funny.
So you're editing, Alyssa. When you were editing that story down repeatedly, so you watched yourself, right?
A couple times,
pieces of your video over and over. What effect did that have on you? Did you have a noticeable, or like listening to yourself again and realizing what you had been through?
I guess I've told the story a number of times now, but mostly in a private conversation. So it didn't surprise me as much, but because I had worried about filling time, I had added a bunch of other things that I thought would help fill the time that would have been relevant to the story, but didn't need to be in it. So, but I was impressed. I was a little impressed with how it turned out. Put it that way.
And with yourself?
Yeah. I think it went really well. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. You,
Jessica. Tammy.
Because I just did one run through, and because I talk so much, sometimes I can be like an hour-long person, but I've gotten it kind of tighter because I was given an amount of time. And after I did it, I watched it and I thought, well, maybe I wasn't excited enough or something. But then I'm like, the story I'm talking about probably doesn't need a lot of excitement. So I had a couple people watch it and they're like, well, it's not your usual excited self. I said, but should I have been excited? They're like, probably not. Great.
But did you, Tammy, when you watched your video back, I mean, I'm sure you all watched, did you watch yours back before you sent it off to Isaiah? No? Okay, good.
I think I did, but then I don't remember. I kind of just let it go. I channel everything that comes out of me. And usually when I watch it again, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I said that. It's like watching a whole new story. But I do watch myself sometimes, and sometimes I really think, wow, that's really good. And other times I just don't resonate with watching myself at times. So I didn't really feel like I needed to. I buzzed through some of it and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good. And then I gave it to somebody else and said, here you are.
Actually, the first time I didn't even watch it. I just timed it like on Zoom. I just had to time it. And then I was able to edit it via transcript. So I just deleted, what I wanted. Then I redid it one time through and, I got dressed and got ready because I didn't want to have to do it again. And then because it was so long, then Isaiah gave me great information on how to edit that down without having to redo any of it. So I watched it as I was editing it, and then I watched it one time final just to make sure there weren't any glitches or anything. So that was the extent of it.
So, Jessica,
Yeah.
did you watch yours back before you submitted it to Isaiah?
I did, and I ended up like deleting one part of it that I felt, oh, this probably would lynch me. Would get me lynched if I said this, because it had to do with some more like family tragedies, and I was like, no, that's like a little too sensitive. So I deleted that, but yeah, that like added to my story a lot, but I was like, nope, can't do this. So I just I deleted it. Usually what I do, I have the same thing as Tammy, like I can easily fill up an hour. So I was more scared of keeping in time because I can, you know, just go off on tangents and just tell any story about anything. So, but I was pretty good. Kept it in, just did one shot and was happy with it. Just deleted that and sent it off. And I was like, okay, I'm done. That's it. I'm not going to worry about it.
Did you give yourself? Were you amazed with yourself when you watched it back, your story?
Yes, I was pretty pleased with myself because I didn't outline, you know, and so I did follow.
No, I mean your story, all those things.
Yeah.
Steps for you, the steps that you took.
Yes.
You know, like
absolutely. Did
you take a minute? Did you take a minute to acknowledge yourself and give yourself a pat on the back that I've done these things, I made it through these experiences, and now, you know, I'm sharing it?
Actually, no, I did not do that. I did not reflect on that part. I just reflected on, okay, I got this job done. Now I'm really scared to put it out there. And then it took me a couple of days. Maybe I should have done that. Yeah, just reflected a little bit.
Well, no, right now, yeah. Like this is an opportunity.
Now I am. Yeah.
Right? This is an opportunity for you all to like recognize that I went through this story. Yeah. I made it through my story, and now I'm on the other side and I'm able to share. Although, I mean, you know, our lives are still continuing. I'm sure there'll be a few things to come. Yeah. But you know, where you are right now, you know, all the five of you, where you are right now on the other side of some of these challenges, and sharing with other women, like letting other women know that you're enough. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. That, you know, if you follow your heart, if you allow, if you take a deep breath, everything is going to be okay. Like, I think that's the bottom line. I mean, I think I've said that a few times now, but I'm late to the party, and I'm sorry, Isaiah. I know you say this. Get in there and watch the talks. You get in there. And Isaiah saying, you know, repeatedly how humbled she's been by the speakers sharing these stories and you know, these personal challenges that, but at the same, you know, which end up with being able to share these universal life lessons, love lessons. I think, Sheriel, I think I wrote down while I was reading or listening to your story of self-discovery, and I wrote unique love lessons. Is that what you think your story comes down to? Your journey and your love lessons, self-love lessons?
I think my story may come down to, yeah, I definitely think in part. And I do want to say, as I've had a crazy couple of weeks. My mom got really sick very quickly. And so I've been intermittently watching everybody's videos and listening to them when I drive up to take care of her. And I'm amazed, and I'll get back to answering your question, but I'm amazed that I could see like parts of Tammy's wisdom, parts of Jessica's wisdom, parts of Alyssa's wisdom, parts of Callie's wisdom. Callie, I listened to you last night. And then Jessica, I listened to you last night, which I'm also a native New Yorker, and I live in South Carolina, which I thought was really cool, very interesting. But it was really great for me to be able to ground myself in everyone's wisdom, like little tiny bits and pieces of everybody's story. to be really tough and brave in this moment right now in my life. So I've been going through like a particularly intense moment as we were all preparing for this summit. And so I appreciate that. And I just wanted to put that out there. So you never know where that little bit of wisdom is going to have a massive butterfly effect on any other human being. But I think to answer your question, I think for me, you know, I believe I came onto the planet to do very specific things. And I feel like I was a very big, brave, bold soul that I just thought, you know, I'd rather live. And I think that I've been going through this right now with my mom. I would much prefer to be kind of human and then very spiritual. I prefer, and I just said yesterday, I need to watch a couple of Doctor Who episodes so I can remember the real reality of life, you know, rather than this like three-dimensional human experience. And so I think for me, I came into the world like bursting with this idea of life being this grand magical thing. And I wanted to do all of this stuff, but I was raised by a dad who definitely wanted to contain me in a very specific way. And I think for me, you know, Chris, it kind of goes back to your intro with me. I think it's really this journey of self-discovery, of returning back to who we really are, why we really came here, and what our sole purpose is. And so I think that's the big lesson. I definitely think love, discovering like real true love, self-love, the vibration of love and all that stuff around it is, you know, another part of that story. But for sure, I think for me, it was really getting back to the essence of who I was meant to be when I arrived here.
Yes. Yeah. Right. For all of us. So, Callie, I have to say that listening to your story, and I was amazed. Okay, so tell me, if you were like this before your diagnosis and before your journey along that, like you I don't know, the way you tell it is so it's almost a happy story. You know, like
Yeah,
the way
it wasn't happy
the
going
way
through
you
it.
talk about it. Okay, so that was like, is that something that has just it's like developed that way? Like now when you talk about it, it's more of a happy story? I don't know.
I think you have a choice. I say that very bravely, whether to plummet down into the deep depths of despair or to rise up. And it's not easy because you fluctuate in and out of those patterns. I hit the wall, you know, mental health issues a few years after my diagnosis. Everything kind of backed up. I wasn't dealing with it. I decided I was going to make everyone else's life better. That didn't work. I had to go through my own stuff and clear all of that. But I think it made me realize that you can make things better for yourself if you let go of things. I was very much a people pleaser. Still am, still want to care for everybody. But there had to come that point where I actually realized, no, it's me. And so I just remember being given, I've actually got it up here. It's a little book that a friend of mine from the States sent me. And she'd had cancer the year before. And I remember reading through the other book, and it struck me that no is a single sentence. And that was so liberating for me, that I don't have to explain myself why I don't want to do something. Just know whether I feel it in my body, my heart, or just not interested. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not here to live my life for anybody else. I'm here to live it for me. And I think having been so blessed with working and doing charity work with so many cancer survivors and those who sadly didn't make it, and their carers, supporters, just really makes you reevaluate things. Even I can remember going down to so where I live on a hill, and not a very big hill, but it's a big enough hill to stop me going down because I've got bad knees. And I remember going out and I go shopping, and it was, I don't know, take me like 15 minutes to walk down there, go shopping, come back again. When I was on chemotherapy, it was taking me an hour to get down there. Then I'd have to sit down on a bench for half an hour, do my shopping, another half an hour on the bench, and then come back. And I remember it had been raining one morning, and I went out, and there was this beautiful rose bush that I'd never noticed before, about 4 or 5 houses down from me across the road. And because it was a warm day and it had been raining, the roses just smelled so amazing. And so I stopped, because I wasn't walking as fast as I used to. I stopped, and the smell from these roses was intoxicating, and they were the most incredible, like deep red velvet roses. I'd never noticed them. And yet this rose bush is huge. It goes up into the tree. So it's been there a long, long time. Definitely longer than I've lived here, which is 18 years now. And that was where I started to think, if I slow down, if I take my time, not your time, my time, and I do things in my time, there's so much richness that comes out of that. So it was almost kind of like a spiritual awakening. And then all of the, the inner GPS signals, which took me a little while to get used to, obviously, because I was so busy doing everything else for everybody else. That's kind of how it came about. It wasn't a deliberate act. It was more, what can I make good out of this situation? Plus, I was only given a year, and I've been here 12 years now. So wow. I'm incredibly blessed. Yeah. And every time I see my onco-surgeon, I'm like, thank you. thank you.
Oh my gosh, did that do that to anyone else? Like, just you talking about the roses? Like,
okay, everybody. Statement that we've heard for years, like, stop and smell the roses. It was like those roses were saying, stop and smell the roses. Definitely.
Because I have no choice but to stop and smell the roses, really. I wasn't going fast enough to go past the roses.
I mean, I'm sure we've all heard that more than once, like, I had to. The universe made me stop. The universe made sure I was not rushing past this moment or past this rose bush. And have you written a book, Callie? Just like a little tiny book.
Well, I wrote a couple of blog posts when I was going through cancer, because I thought it'd be helpful. And then I also did we've got a big cancer charity here in the UK called Macmillan. And so I did a 5-year review kind of thing. But the first couple of blog posts were turned into a mini booklet that I then got published for charity. So it raised funds for the charity that had supported me. But it's been out of print a long, long time. And it was just blog posts. It wasn't a book per se.
Maybe it needs to come back. Maybe. Okay. I don't know where. Okay. I just as a digression, I went and got a job last year, and so I haven't been as connected to the online circle that Isaiah and I are a part of, and so I myself have been a little removed from the slowing down and listening and allowing. So being here with you all right now is kind of bringing me back to it. So thank you. Thank you again, Isaiah. And thank you all again for bringing me here. Okay, I'm going to look at another question after I. All right, it's all coming. All right. Let's see. Okay, what I would like to know, what brought you all to the summit, and what made you say yes? So Sharielle, if you want to go first, like why did you join, and what were you hoping for? What were you hoping to get out of it, if anything?
I really enjoy doing summits, just putting this energy out into the world to be helpful and to connect women particularly. as soon as I met Isaiah, I knew that I had to be a part of it because she's amazing. So it really came from my conversation with her. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And what were you, oh, just, you enjoy being a part of like the events? Was there anything that you were hoping to?
I don't think I had any real ulterior motive other than I connected with Isaiah and I thought, you know, this just feels like the right thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's kind of a pretty lame answer, but you know, I connected with her and then that was it.
Mm-hmm. Tammy, how about you? Why did you join? And was there something you were hoping to get out of it?
It was the name of the Women Lighting the Way. It just resonated. Then
awesome.
Isaiah contacted me and I was like, oh, well, you know, she said she was sending invitations. So I was like, okay, it wasn't some mass, you know, just, like post people do you want to be on something? And I was like, oh, that was, thank you for, you know, choosing to invite me. And then when she shared what it was, I was like, yes, I don't even think she was done talking to me about stuff. I'm like, okay. She's like, do you want to be part of it? Well, I've already said okay several times, but yeah, okay. And this is just, as you were sharing the other, you know, about trusting and all of that, for other women, the big thing that's coming through for me is, I think feeling like you're not alone. When we said in a lot of our stuff, we think I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm the only one who is experiencing this. I'm the only one. And then you feel so far away from things, and then you can spiral downward into places that don't feel good. So when you can hear other women's stories, then you start to go, like Sherry said, you see the wisdom in them, but you see yourself in them, and you go, oh, I felt that way. I didn't know somebody else felt that way. And then when they articulate it the way they do, you can feel differently. Maybe you were really upset about it or in a lower place. And one thing I've come to know when I experience something, I always think, one day I'm going to laugh at this. This is going to be funny. Not right now, but it's going to be funny. And then when I tell stories later on, I turn them into something that's more jovial, which just lightens the energy of whatever the thing was.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Alyssa, what made you join? And were you hoping for something at the?
Well, it's really hard to say no to Isaiah. She has this energy that is just so alluring and attractive. And ever since I've met her in our, you know, business group with, I've always just admired everything she's done. And then last year I had the opportunity to really chat with her more as she helped me with my tech. And yes, thank you so much for that. And so, yeah, it sounded really interesting that I had been aware of the past summits. I had registered for them, but I never had the time to listen to them. And so I was like, I knew some of the past speakers, and I knew of you, Chris, and some of the other speakers in this panel. I know through the intranets, and I just wanted to be a part of that because I know how amazing all these women are, and I thought that would be a really great way to help me get my business, you know, a little bit off the ground, as well as get more comfortable with speaking. And yeah, it was a win-win-win. So that's kind of why.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jessica, why did you join?
Yeah, I can probably only parrot back some of the stuff that everybody else said, but I feel it's kind of like when I wrote my book. If I can just inspire one person, then my job is done. So I feel, you know, we've all been through a lot, just like everybody else, and that feeling of not being alone, that is powerful, you know. And so yeah, that Joan asked me, who is also a speaker, but she's not here today, so she asked me if I would be interested, and I was like, okay, I don't know what this is all about, but I'll talk to her. And then then I talked to Isaiah, and the same thing. She was like, well, go sleep on it. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna do it. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So yeah, it was her energy too. So yeah.
Thank you. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and so your talk yesterday made me think like, oh gosh, things are going well, right? Like, what's next? What do I need to look out for? So thank you for sharing that part. Callie, how about you? Did I ask what made you join the summit?
Curiosity initially to book that call. And I don't know what happened, but it disappeared out of my diary that day that I was supposed to have the initial chat with our beautiful goddess. Oh. And she was so gracious and so kind and so compassionate. I was all over the place. So I rebooked in. And as soon as she mentioned about that you were building almost like this library of women's stories. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. That's easy. I can do that. And we all have so many stories. It's really difficult to know, well, where do I begin? Which one do I go with? And I could have chosen much easier stories for sure. I went for a really long, complicated one. Why not? That's just a story of how I work. But it was this beautiful idea of having stories that no one's heard before, and being able to connect with so many people across so many walks of life all around the world. And again, that feeling of not being alone, not feeling alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, curiosity was the initial driver though.
Did anyone have some bouts of imposter syndrome? Did I already say it? Like, I guess I said not enoughness. You had imposter syndrome come up, Callie?
Yeah. Every single day. It jumps out of bed with me. Get away.
Oh.
Yeah. Particularly when I videoed, pressed the recording and had done it. And it honestly never occurred to me to listen to it again. It never occurred to me. Just, okay, tick, done. Off we go. It just was one of those things I just have to push through. The syndrome is something that comes from my childhood, and it's just one of those things I keep on need to working on, but also nurturing, because that's my inner child telling me that something isn't safe. And so I have to honor her when I'm working through the imposter syndrome. I don't bat her out the way like I used to, or try and push her to the side. I listen to her and see what it may be that she feels is threatening or scary.
And then what? Do you have a dialogue with your?
No, it's more that just that knowing, that intuitive knowing.
Okay.
This log's far too lengthy in time. I might be scribbling or doing art stuff, but just instant decisions. Come on, let's go.
Okay. Did anyone else have a bout of imposter syndrome that you want to talk about?
I think the other direction is I've gotten to a place where I just tap back into the things that I know I'm really good at doing. When any of that kind of stuff happens to want to seep up or, come out, I just think, wait a minute, this is who I am. This is what I've accomplished. This is what's possible. So that's just something that doesn't need to rear its head anymore.
So Alyssa, it's been occurring to me. Somehow you had in your story, I mean, you're talking about your son and his needs and your daughter's needs, and how were you able to keep yourself a priority? Like, was that a challenge? It seemed like you were pursuing your own thing at the same time as you were helping your son along, but was that a challenge for you, or was there something you relied on to keep yourself a priority?
I couldn't couldn't do what I wanted to do. And at first it was about, I need to fix them so I can get on moving on. But then I realized I needed to change that. And I was working with a coach, a healing coach. And she, thank goodness, I started working with her like in December when it was like in the middle of the fury. And we had almost weekly calls where we just worked on getting myself more regulated and everything. And then I started taking my own advice that I give to people, and it was to surrender, to stop trying to fix things that were outside of me. And that was the biggest lesson of just trying to stop researching, stop trying to learn more about treatments and things for OCD and all these things. And when I relaxed, it just started to fall into place. And so I realized that I did need self-care. Could not have done it without my fiance and Bill and his support. I mean, he didn't get directly involved very much, but he was just always there in the background, allowing me to not have to, have this job and in this income. And my ex, I mean, I had child support for a lot, the majority of that time, thankfully too, because I just couldn't, my nervous system was so shot. And it was just a struggle every day sometimes. So it was amazing to be able to have that shift, have him move out of my house, and then I could start to repair everything. But it was a struggle to keep myself in focus when he was at the heights of it. So
I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, but congratulations.
Thank
I don't
you.
think you mentioned that you're engaged.
Yeah, that happened after I finished the talk. Yes, thank you.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
Thank
congratulations.
you. Yes.
Yay.
Excited.
Like listening to your talk, and I was like, whoa, to be kind of blindsided by, and how you described your spouse. And I was, whoa, immediately I think, of course, when women are watching your stories, they automatically, oh, what would I do in that situation? And so there's another benefit that another gift that you're giving other women is when you're talking about these bumps, and we can imagine ourselves in that situation and thinking, wow, would I have been able to do this? But you've all provided, by providing your own steps and how you handled it, it gives other women, maybe a perspective or an idea that they hadn't thought about. And then, of course, you can apply it to, I'm sure you can apply it to different situations. But your journey, Alyssa, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, would I have been able to do that? But you're a mother and you have no choice, I guess, right?
Yeah. And it's just the timing too. I don't think if he had left me 5 years earlier, I wouldn't have had that much more self growth and self work. I mean, this has been a long process, obviously. And so by the time he did do that, I had become much more I had much more of that stability of my own, who I am and my being. You get married young. I was 21, and some people get married even younger than that. And it just becomes your whole life. But when you continually work to grow yourself, then hopefully, but if something big like that happens, you're able to step up. And I realized that I was able to do it. I had always thought I could never survive that until it happened. And then I was like, oh, okay, right. This is it. I can do it. So it was interesting. So
I don't know if anybody else gasped, but when you said, and then out of the blue, and I was like, oh my God, how dare he? Like, it was like, wow, that takes some balls. But then it's like, thank you, universe. Thank you, universe, for
I always say
giving
I'm so grateful that he actually did have the courage to do that, because this is now where we are, and I think we're all better off for it. So I am internally grateful to him for that. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to say, and I have friends who are still mad at him, and they're more mad at him than I ever was. And I'm like, it's okay. So
wow, okay, and you say that, and then I go back to Sherrielle's talk, and if I have tried to say that, like Sherrielle, you having the gratitude for your father to be a teacher for you, and I don't know if you may have said something that that I didn't catch, but if I could find the courage to say, I think I've tried to say that before to my parents, to have that gratitude for being who they were so that I could become who I am. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
It's kind of interesting. As you're asking the question, the first thing that popped into my head was, it's all about energy. And I thought of Tammy immediately because she's a vibrational goddess. And I think really when we all begin to think of how much energy is shifting and changing and evolving and expanding from generation to generation, I think it makes perfect sense. I think it makes sense that I was able to transform and transmute all of that energy in such a way that anger became love or forgiveness, right? All of those pieces of how we interpret emotions really are just energetic. And so I think for me, it was just really about, I feel so grateful that I have wisdom because of my life. And I think that I asked for that from the very beginning. And the thing is, when Alyssa was talking too, I didn't share, I know I shared a crazy amount in that story of mine, but not like the intricate little details, like my dad, inviting women to move in. So he'd have a girlfriend and she would move in with her children, and then they would fight all the time, and then he would kick her out. And so it was this constant feeling of not only instability, but the bigger piece was I learned at an early age, probably from around the age of 11, who I wanted to be as a woman, witnessing the women coming in and out of my life. I didn't even know. My mom was such a calm, easygoing person who never yelled. I didn't know that people fought until I was probably, I didn't know married couples even fought until I, was 11 or 12 years old. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up is that I was thinking about it last night. I definitely became a better woman knowing what I didn't want to be. And it kind of goes back to that whole observational contrast of how we manifest and how we create and how we, co-create the life that we want to live. So yeah, it's profound. It's all profound. It's all a blessing. And I just have to say one last thing. With my mom being sick right now, I can't believe how human I feel. And I think Tammy really talked about this in her talk, like how we go from that, that darkness and being in that space at the moment, and then trusting that we're going to come out of it better, wiser, more expansive, more loving, more light filled. So yes, that's the long answer to your question.
Is it easy for you to get that? That's a big zoom out perspective, right? That we all wish we could have in the moment maybe. But is it easy for you? How did you learn that, like you said, when you were that young, at taking that big step back and looking at a situation that way?
I think that I heard soul. I heard spirit for sure as a child, where and I don't even know if I talked about that in my video. I think I may have, but being so in tune with listening to the voices of, this is not who you are, you'll get through this, you know, moving forward. It kind of happened throughout my life with certain illnesses, where I could hear a voice and the voice would say, you know, you can heal yourself, or you know, it will be all right. Yeah. And I think that the thing about it is it's just a matter of connecting. It's just a matter of surrendering and trusting. And, you know, like I said, I'm going through that right now, and I'm definitely in the middle of, you know, feeling a little frustrated with my own vulnerability and humanness, you know, really feeling attached to the outcome of what's happening with my mom. She's going to be okay. It's all good. But I think when we're in the middle of those experiences, what I didn't want to do at this point in my life of having a little bit more wisdom and a little more sense about it all, I didn't want to forget all the magic, all the messages, all the things that underlying like what's happening in our immediate human experience. I never want to just go back to being this physical person in this three-dimensional world, because we're loved so much. There's so much more going on that, yeah, I'm in the middle again of that feeling of trust and surrender, you know? And I mean, I can't believe it. I'm on this panel right now, you know, early on a Saturday morning, and it's magical. It's magical. I know. Mm-hmm. The energy. Mm-hmm. I know. If it weren't 9 a.m., it would be like happy hour with the girls, right? I'd be having a good time.
So, Jessica, did you? I'm trying to think back in your story. When did you have moments of that that inner knowing voice coming in along the way, like? Before you made, I think the first thing you talked about was what made you leave the United States. Did you have some guidance or voice in there telling you that you recognized?
At that point in my life, no. I just knew I have to get out of here. I'm not gonna stay here. It's too dangerous. But not then. I mean, I was always kind of, I guess, like more connected to nature, like. So it was like almost, you know, birds would maybe tell me something or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember like the.
No, keep going with that. It's okay. Take it. Own it. Own it. You seem to have an amazing connection to nature, and it's all wrapped up in your purpose, right?
Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, maybe like, you know, going out on camping trips or whatever. I remember one time I was with my boyfriend in South Carolina, and we went on a camping trip, and I just like went to actually pee. Like, I was just walking through the woods, and then all of a sudden I come to a very small clearing, and then I came up to a skunk, and we just like kind of looked at each other. We were like, you know, like from here to that wall, we were that close, and you know, we just kind of like respected each other. And I said, I'm not going to harm you. Everything's good, you know, all telepathically. And he was like, just looking at me going, okay. And that's fine. And then he just like walked off. And I just like, at that point, I knew that, you know, that we were actually lost. So I knew in that point that everything was going to be okay, because we had to camp there overnight, and we woke up and there were like all these like thorn bushes all over us. I don't know how we like slept there. It was kind of scary. But at that moment when I saw him, I was like, okay, it's good. It's all good. And we're gonna sleep here and nothing's gonna happen. And because I honestly don't even remember where we were. And my boyfriend was like, it's good, I know where we're going, and the whole time, and we didn't. But at that moment, I knew all was good, and Another time, I was in the woods. This was like shortly after my mom passed, and I was with my Labrador, my dog. She's kind of like crazy, all nervous and stuff. She's a Labrador. She likes to play, and she was on leash, and we were just walking, and then I just sat down and I just thought about my mom, and I had her sit, and everything was calm, and I just had a conversation with her. And the last thing I said, Mom, I forgive you, I love you, and I miss you. And at that moment, a small deer like stood up, looked at me, and then slowly walked away. And usually when we come up, me and my dog, all the deer like go away. They just like, okay, oh, there's somebody.
Yeah.
There's a dog. We're going. This one was here for the whole conversation. I had no clue. He wasn't that close. There have been so many things like that. I think with my daughter with IVF, I just knew she was going to be born even before IVF.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to have a baby. I didn't know whether it was going to be a boy or a girl. It didn't matter. But I knew I was going to have a baby, and it took 6 years before I got pregnant and going through all this. And I was like, I'm not going to worry about it. It's just going to come. But I didn't really know that to be like claircognizance, or however you pronounce that. I didn't really know all of these clairs at that time. I wasn't really, I think I started, I don't know. See, there's not like one point where I could say, oh, that's when I started my spiritual journey. I think self-employment helps with that, because you go through a lot of personal development when you all of a sudden own a business and you have to do something with it. So that's when I like actively started that journey. But all stuff like kind of happened along the way where I was like, there's something more powerful out here. And
I love this is what makes this kind of event and experience so incredible, is that everyone has their own personal way of hearing or following, or I don't know, getting messages and finding what they need, to continue. So again, I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing those unique things that make your story yours, but that are going to help other women when they hear your story, or just listening right now. I mean, just on these panels talking, so much comes up. So again, thank you. And it is, it's funny because I could see how, somebody contacting you and saying, hey, you want to be part of the summit? And, oh, it's free. And, oh, you can grow your business. And, oh, we'll give you all the tools. And it's like, oh, what are you getting out of this? Like, is this a scam? What do you want from me? But no, it's true. Women can help other women and share their stories and just be here. And it's so valuable. It's very, okay. Let me get back to one of my questions. I'm looking at the questions, Isaiah. Let's see. Okay. So does somebody have, yes, that's what I was going to ask. What is something that you have taken from another woman's story? Callie, do you want to start? Is there something that you took from anyone else's story that struck you?
There's lots, and I do apologize for being on mute. There's a police helicopter going overhead. The joys of living in London. It was actually Sherry L's, and it was about self-care is about coming home to yourself. It really, really moved me. I mean, actually, I cried most of the way through your talk. It was very, very moving, but it was just so important remembering that actually, if we just go back to ourselves, that's where everything settles. That's where we can be who we truly are. That's the way people can get, the best out of us as well. That's how we can live our lives more freely. And self-care is just, it drives me crackers because everyone says about self-care. Oh, have a foam bubble bath and go and have a massage. I don't want a massage. I don't need a massage. What I really want is time and space to allow myself to do the things that I love to do. I mean, I love making mixed media and textile art, and I just don't have the time. So that's my form of self-care. And that's where I find myself when I allow myself to make that time in my schedule and put a big sign up, a metaphorical sign on my door saying keep out, but not in such polite words.
Oh, I just wrote that down. Thank you, Callie. Time and space for me. Like, I've been trying to give myself just time to daydream, just sit down. Like, I think I did that when I was a kid. I would just go in my room and look at the ceiling and the light and just sit there. And I have 4 kids, so it doesn't happen a lot, but and now a full-time job. But thank you. I wrote that down. Time and space.
And Moodle. Go and Moodle. Go and lay and look at the clouds as they float above you. You know, I live in London. We have a lot of clouds. A lot of clouds. And so it's really nice. And I can remember as a child just laying for hours with one of my best friends and just seeing what shapes they made. And we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because, we're adult.
You call that moodling?
Moodling, yeah. Moodling.
Is that a UK term?
No, it's from a lady from the States, Brenda Hewland.
Oh,
I like it.
Okay.
I wish I could lay clay to it, but I can't.
Down.
Sorry.
Tammy, what did I just ask? Oh, what did you take from another talk?
Well, the ones I watched, it was just watch everybody go deep into their experiences. The world does a lot of, be surface. Everything is surface, and when you can watch somebody really go into themselves and connect and share that, you get drawn in because you're feeling them. It's not just this is the face I'm putting on so that the world sees it. It's this is me, and I'm letting you see me. And that's that vulnerable place that so many people are afraid to let themselves go, let other people come in. I mean, we have a lot of walls up. In my energy work with clients, I see walls, and I'll have them start to go, okay, you have this wall around this thing because they've done all this work. And it's like, start to imagine, what does this wall look like? And then we take it down, and it's the feelings they have of walking through the wall or walking over the wall or whatever. And we all have these walls up that we've put, I don't like the word protection, but for safety, to keep ourselves in a way that we feel that we are in charge because so much comes at us. And so seeing when the women can put that down and just really let themselves come out, it's like a flood almost. Like, when you're saying you edited out stuff because it was just coming out, we open that door and it's like, it's almost a relief, like, oh, I finally here. Let me share this with you. And then we all go, oh, we embrace it because we're like, that's wonderful that you shared that.
So witnessing the vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big word. I didn't, when I used to hear it, there are words that I hear now that I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I will even say that to people. Just talking and letting someone witness what you've experienced, you're seeing. Yeah. And it's not that somebody needs to fix anything. We live in a world that, well, how can I fix it? You really can't fix it. So just be there and just share. So.
Thank you. Alyssa, was there something that you took from the other talk?
Just the overall strength of women. I mean, it blows me away. The things that we all go through, the things that aren't shared, and the vulnerable pieces of our lives. It's really humbling and empowering to listen to everybody share these moments of their lives. And I can't thank all of you enough for doing that. It's been a really big pleasure.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah. Jessica, was there something that you took from another talk?
Yeah, that's also, I think, Carrie, you mentioned it, about like taking care of others. Always, you know, women do this a lot. We are very motherly, and that's like, we think that's our job, that we have to, you know, take care of other people before ourselves. We have to give excuses why we say no, you know, and just hearing that also kind of helped me out, because I'm now, you know, transitioning out of that, and yeah, have been taking care of myself, and it's been so different. It's been so very different, and I'm just, I feel humbled, because so many people, you know, you think like when you're going through things at that time, it's like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, why, you know, why is this happening to me? Well, it's why, you know, why is this, what is this preparing for me? What, this is happening for me, like that kind of shifting of perspectives. And I can see in so many people, you know, you went through these really hard times and were able to shift that perspective with, okay, what kind of lesson is this for me, and how can I take it and move on, or just, yeah, learn from it. Yeah, because you know, I thought I had a hard childhood, but it's really not that bad. Like, you know, but the things that you think were bad were actually just lessons, and
Yeah.
either weren't so bad, or yeah, just the way you perceived it back then, right? So it's nice to know that other women are able to process that information as well, and yeah, and rise up from that. So that's really, yeah, humbling to see, and very enlightening. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I agree. So Sheriel, I don't know if you want to share it, but your quote that you talked about, that you gave in your talk,
Oh,
thank you for sharing it.
I think, didn't I start my entire talk with, I mean, seriously, like Isaiah said, just do your talk, natural, vulnerable, raw. And I literally recorded it, and that was it. You know, no editing. I just was like, I'm putting it all out there. My quote was, don't allow others who don't know themselves tell you who you are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, I still kind of get choked up. And, you know, yeah, but okay. Yeah. So what was the question?
Well, I took a few things from your talk, but that one, you know, thank you for saying it. Thank you for reminding us, and just putting that out there, because I mean, you had a lot more to your talk that was useful for me or enlightening for me, but thank you just for sharing that quote. But the question, was there something that you took from another speaker's talk?
Oh my gosh. And I do want to say, with that quote, it just living a life where my soul was saying, you know, choose this, do this, this would be fun, this would be great. And then having the energy of another human being with an agenda, because they don't know any better, saying, well, you can't do that, you can't have that, you can't be that. And I think that when someone tells me that I can't have or do or be something, then that's when I'm the rebel, you know, like a spiritual rebel. But I think for me, with everyone's talk collectively, it just added more fuel to my creative fire. It just added more inspiration to, I mean, and I could pick everyone's talk apart, right? You know, the intuitiveness of Tammy, or the resilience of Alyssa, or Callie, for sure, your creativity is just over the top. And I think, Jessica, for you, you reminded me of well, I mean, even collectively, but you reminded me of with nature, like really getting back into nature. I climbed all the major mountains in California, in the United States when I was much younger, before I got like my little autoimmune deficiency and things kind of energetically, mitochondrially wise went a little south. But I'm totally with you. I love being in nature. I love connecting. And I think that the adjectives that I was using to describe everyone's talk are completely imbued in the feminine aspect. All the creativity, connecting with nature, connecting with ourselves, connecting with the brilliant resilience and unending giving that we put out for other people in the world. It's amazing. That caretaker energy, that creative energy, that expansive energy, that energy where we're the feminine aspect is so connected to that the beautiful aspect of the world that we live in. It's so profound. And so I think that the to me, like at 30,000 feet, it is mind blowing to me how complex, how strong, how connected, intuitive, and creative we are. It's so powerful. The feminine aspect is so powerful, and it's just really getting back home to ourselves and really honoring that. And I think and I think probably I could say this for women in general, we just, pull ourselves up by our britches and then like go back in for more. And how do we find that balance of knowing that we're tough, knowing that we're resilient, but then still really soft and tender and compassionate and empathic and yeah, like it's just a lifelong journey to try to find that balance in a really powerful, healing, really lovely, gentle, gracious way.
So Sherry, how will this summit have affected your business? Is there something have you found new inspiration? Have you found a new idea? Has the summit at all affected the way that you are going to take your business forward?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. So I think for me, what I've discovered, like I definitely, offer different programs about manifesting and connecting to oneself and healing and all of that stuff. But really what my new big project really is this idea of creating a very lovely membership site where women can come and get that daily intentional support. So rather than just being like, woo, I've got a big offer for this program and I'm doing this giant launch, which does not jive with my feminine aspect. Just really like creating like a very gentle, easy membership that women and entrepreneurs can come into to get what they need whenever they need it to stay inspired, to stay brave, to stay creative, all of that stuff. So yes, absolutely, Chris, great question. Yeah,
Great.
like this summit,
how about you?
Made it very clear to me that of this new direction I'm going in.
Oh. Awesome. Great. Alyssa, has the summit experience influenced how you're going to take your business forward?
Yeah, it's given me a little more confidence in that, and just the connecting with more souls out there, and yeah, I agree with Sherry. I love your idea. It's the imposter syndrome, why would anybody want to do something like, why would anybody want to work with me specifically when there's so many other wonderful, talented people, it's just that always is there. So just seeing everybody doing their individual things and knowing. One of the things I find really interesting, and I have to remind myself this all the time, because on Facebook we get into these groups and we get into these social media sites where we're kind of being fed all of this information, similar minded information. And I think, oh my gosh, there's so many of us doing all these things. But I realize that we're such a small percentage of the population, and most of them don't think like us at all. And they probably really need more of us. So I have to remind myself all the time that this is not a normal algorithm, right? Most people are not seeing what I'm seeing. So I have to remember that we're all needed. We're all very needed, and we can all say the same thing in our own unique ways. And so it's been really inspiring for that.
Exactly. Awesome. Yes, right. Tammy, how has the summit influenced how you're going to do business from here on?
I think it's a reminder.
If it has
it's a reminder of community, of being part of something. A lot of the time, I call like DIY stuff. Everybody wants to do it themselves, and we forget we are not here alone. We're not here to do anything by ourselves. Even if somebody just watches a video or reads a book, they're not doing it themselves. They're bringing in the information that other person or whatever is sharing. And so I actually just I've been shifting into different ways of sharing my work and more what I'm calling aliveness. So where it feels like the energy is always moving, because my whole life is about energy, vibration, and making it more alive, not just here's some information, go do whatever with it. It's like, be with me, experience this movement and moving the energy. And that's, I just feel like that's where it's elevating, is reminding me of being in the community and connection, and reminding others that really uplifts us all by being part of that.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Callie, now I'm going to ask you how the summit might influence your business going forward, but I just have another pop in that's saying your little book is important. So
okay, so
I just want to say that
I've ascertained today that I need to get back to writing. I'm hearing all the messages. Thank you. I used to love writing. I really used to love it. And I used to blog maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then I remember going into a Facebook group once. I was doing some training, Facebook Pexels training years ago. And I was saying, I don't know why I blog, because nobody ever reads anything. And I didn't realize even these strangers in the group were like, yeah, we do. Oh, okay. So I do need to get that back to writing. But the way it's going to change things, for about 5-6 years, I've wanted to have this creative wellbeing library. So it's a membership site, and you can draw down materials, exercises, so creative pauses, which are really small little things that you can work on, little projects, and then slightly bigger ones. But it's going to have an experiential live component as well once a month, which I have been doing anyway. But I'm just bringing it all in together. So people can literally go into the library as you do and pick things down, work with them, and then put them back again. That's my brilliant idea. But I've had tech hell the last 4 weeks. My iMac decided to die after 9 years of abuse from me. So I had to buy a new one. The screen does weird stuff all the time. It's a lovely Mac, but it's taken a bit of a time to get used to it. So I'm 4 weeks behind on the launch, which is 1st of July. My dad is...
You're never behind.
My dad is very, very sick at the moment. He's in hospital. We just don't know what's going on. So that's another load, because I'm not close enough to him to go and travel and see him. So it's actually listening to everyone's stories this last couple of weeks and being in this lovely supportive community. It's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Whatever I decide to show up and put out is enough. And the right people will come and collect it when they're ready. It doesn't matter if even no one comes on the 1st of July. That doesn't matter. I'm putting it out there, and it's something that I want to be almost like a life work, a life body of work. So people will come to it as and when they feel drawn. So this summit has given me the confidence to do that. and to sit with that uncomfortableness that maybe no one wants to come, and maybe it's because I'm not good enough and I'm rubbish and I'm this, that, and the other. Oh, shh, 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 shh. It's okay. Just turning up is enough. So thank you. Sorry, very long answer.
Yes. Callie, you have to make an audiobook because I just want to listen to you.
I know, me too.
All day long. Just read.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. Okay, so audiobook as well. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely.
There you go. Jessica, has the summit influenced how you're going to go forward in your business?
I believe it has given me a little bit more courage to add some spiritual elements, some ideas into my program. I mean, I've had these thoughts before, but I'm like, I'm a marketer, so talk about launches. Yeah, my program is like an ethical marketing program for creatives in the eco space who have a problem with promoting themselves, and that is so much all up in here. And it has a lot to do with personal development, with spirituality, and it's not that I was scared to do it, like scared to put in some woo-woo elements or whatever, but but I haven't been doing it yet. So this is actually the first time that I actually publicly talked about it, that I can think of. I mean, I've always talked about like connecting with nature and yada, yada, yada. But as far,
you're still in the spiritual closet.
Yeah, like I did do a post, I did do a meditation. So I have talked about that and like of gratitude and stuff. But I guess, like talking more about other things, about the universe and how it works and how it has helped me in my business and how it can help other people. And just, I feel that now I have a little bit more confidence to do that and not.
Awesome. So it's funny when Sherry said something about the big launch, did you say like, oh, big launch? Like, I think you were trying to convey the big male energy of a launch. And I got the image of that last, I don't know, what's the company, that last big rocket that went up and eventually exploded. Like such big male, obvious energy, like
in a Freudian way and then stuff. Yeah. I know. And and because I'm such a high achiever that I've had to learn to not be that. When I get in that too much masculine energy space, I feel like I got to pull back. I cannot, I'm too old and wise at this point to keep going in that direction. I know better. Yeah. So it just needs to be soft and gentle and
Can I just share?
Really?
Yeah.
Please. I just want to say, right?
It's open. Everybody go nuts.
In England, we're renowned for being very withdrawn, gentle, not speaking up. And it is so lovely to be in this group with women who just get out there and say it as it is. Like I when you talked about being a high achiever, I instantly went, oh, because it's always like, oh, you're not allowed to say that over here. You're going to be struck down with thunder and lightning and everything because you must do well. You've got to stay hidden. And this is what I love about this group, because it's reminding me that it's okay to say that I can do certain things, that I'm really actually bloody good at certain things, because you make it okay. So thank you for modeling that to people like me who are very shy, retiring, and come from a history of having no self-esteem whatsoever. It's a blessing. So thank you. Thank you.
And we have to build that up too, because I wasn't like that before. And in my business of helping others to step into themselves, it was very uncomfortable for me because I wanted to back away when they were having their moments of, oh, well, I don't want to push you. And then I started to realize, well, if I don't help take them to that edge, then they're going to stay where they're at. And so I take myself to that edge too. And I think, well, where is the edge so I can go to it. And it's always scary because the unfamiliar and the unknown is what we pull back from, because it's safer even to be in misery and know the misery than it is to think that you could be miserable in something you don't even know yet, when if you just imagine that everything on the other side is always going to be more wonderful. We get the choice of either side, and so choose, it's going to be better. And just step, and when you trust the bigness, the source, whatever you want to call that energy, it's always got you. It wouldn't let you do anything otherwise. So take the leaps and just wait to see where it lands.
Yeah, I think everybody, I don't know if I said that in the beginning, everybody's talk comes down to the trust, the allowing, the following your heart, following your inner voice wherever it is, or however it sounds, or wherever it leads you. So yeah, we're at the end of our 90 minutes. Do you each have a word that sums up your experience? Do you think you already said it? Alyssa, do you have a word? Does anybody have a word?
I think allowing myself to do this, allowing myself to share on such a level. It was easy. It would have been easy to say, okay, maybe next year, but did it?
Yes. How about you, Tammy? Do you have a word?
So I'm here thinking, trust yourself, trust your soul, trust source, trust that you are enough, even if you're not sure how. Just trust. And trust is a building thing, because there's a lot of things that tell us outside ourselves not to trust things, but to build that space of just going forth and enjoying yourself and how you show up, and everything else then falls into place, instead of trying to make everybody else happy in the process.
Yes. Sherry, do you have a word?
I'm going to go with celebrate. Celebrating the moment,
Yay.
Celebrating this amazing connection, this conversation, going forward with my day and looking back at this moment. I feel so connected to each of you that, just completely grateful, totally celebrating how the universe brought us all together.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Callie, do you have a word?
Well, when you said that, a scene popped into my head of Austin Powers. I have absolutely no idea why. In a rainbow suit. Does he even wear thing? I don't know. And it was bodacious. And I don't even know what the word means, but it seems to fit the energy. Bodacious. Does someone know what it means? Can you enlighten me? Does it fit? Is it okay?
It means like go big, go, Texas, go big or go home.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, bodacious. That's their word. Let's dispel with the suit, though, the rainbow suit. We don't need that much jazz. We're okay. We're good enough as we are.
I love it.
I had a flash of Austin Powers when you said the big spaceship in the sky blowing up or something. Austin Powers.
Oh. Jessica, do you have a word?
Yeah, I only think of gratitude, being grateful for being here, for everything that everybody has experienced. I'm just grateful that that we're here to tell it, that we kind of have a path now, like that we're going on, and if we come up to anything, a challenge or whatever, we can also look back on this and say, okay, well, how would Kelly do it? How would Sherry do it? How would Debbie go through this? Or, Alyssa, this is just gratitude, pure gratitude. So, yeah.
It kind of sounded like you're coming back to the title of the summit, Women Lighting the Way.
Full circle.
Yes.
It's
Gratitude. Yes.
Is that showing up on the right side? Can you guys read that, or is that
backwards?
No, it's backwards, but it's okay. We can do it.
Sorry, I didn't know what it said.
One of the WO. I was like on. So I was like,
y'all.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
that's cute though. I love it.
Just to remind, I want to remind everyone, you can still register for the summit. It is free. All of the talks are free. You can register for all the talks or just some of the talks. And when you register for the talks, you're also entered. There's the link. Thanks, Isaiah. You're entered into giveaways from each speaker. They each have something they're giving to a lucky registrant, attendee, and each speaker also has a freebie. So if you're drawn to any of these women and their talks or what they do, you can get a little taste of their work and more about them through their freebie. These talks are going to be available online for free for the next week. If you don't think you're going to have a chance to watch these talks and you really want to, you can buy the summit. For just $39, you can buy access to all these talks to watch whenever you want, for as long as you want. This is not a for-profit event. Whatever that we sell goes to pay for the software, and anything that's left over, we donate to Kiva. Kiva is an organization that makes loans possible to women all over the world who are trying to start their own business to better themselves and their communities. So, you know, Isaiah and I, we tried to go the masculine way and make this a paid speakers training thing, and it didn't quite work. I think this format works really well. It's free. It's women helping other women just by sharing their stories. And, you know, as kind of like, oh, well, women sharing their stories, you know, it doesn't sound important, but when we get together like this and we talk and we share our stories of how we made it through, it's just really important. It makes a big difference. And thank you, each and every one of you for saying yes to Isaiah and for doing it. You know, you made it here. So like Sherry else said, thank you, celebrate this. This is something that you did, that you've given the world this talk and your wisdom and your insight. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And tomorrow morning, Isaiah will be on with the other remaining speakers at the same time. You can watch us here. You can watch us in the group. You can watch us on the YouTube channel. So go register. Come back tomorrow and watch the remaining speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, before I close the
Isaiah.
live, I just want to show my face and say thank you as well to each and every one of you. Those who are here, those who are not, those who will be there tomorrow, and also Joan, who cannot be on the live panels, but we still highly recommend you go and listen to her talk as well. And also, of course, I want to thank Chris for sparking this thing. And yeah, we will see you tomorrow with the other panelists. I was all along. I want to say, ladies, again, humbled. Thank you very, very much for being here with us this year.
And if anyone watching thinks they have been drawn or pulled in to share their story, we'll be here again next year.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, if you're in the group, if you're following Isaiah, or you can just, you know, throw your name in the hat right now. Yeah. But listen, maybe you'll be on this next year.
Thank you very, very much to everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.